Changing perspective, one woman at a time. Welcome. We're here today with Jeff Rogers of Rogcity Fitness, local fitness expert. Thank you for joining us. Very excited you could be here.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. So tell me a little bit about your background, your fitness background, and how you got started in this field.
Well, I've been doing this for about 5 years now, and it all started with my parents. They're super into fitness and exercise, and they were kind of the motivation for me taking up exercise. And when I was in school, I actually was going to school to be a physical education teacher, and in one of my kinesiology courses, I got really fascinated with the body and learning more about it, and that's kind of when I decided to switch routes, and I decided to start learning more about fitness, and I took it upon myself while I was in school to get certified, and I landed a job training in-home shortly after I got certified, and I've been doing that ever since, and yeah, that's kind of where we are today, 5 years later, 5.5.
You also do a local workout group?
Yep.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Jam the Gym?
Jam the Gym.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about that.
Jam the Gym is a workout for anyone, all ages, anybody can come. It's $5 at South Middle School. It's a group workout. It's full body movements. It's a lot of cardio based exercises for anyone from 10 years old to 75 years old. It's a very broad based type of workout. We do a lot of modified workouts, so anybody can do it. We also challenge people, so you can do it, so it's more intense for people to do as well. And that's every Monday and Thursday night at 6:30 at South Middle School.
Okay. But you've also taken that on the road.
I've taken that on the road to New York. Yep. I, in collaboration with going on tour with Bonavere, I took my group workout to New York, and it was awesome. And yeah.
And you do some in Minneapolis, St. Paul?
Yes,
correct?
I do. I did Pack the Park the summer one in Minneapolis, all the way up until September, and I plan on picking that back up in January for the new year. Yeah, so it's the same concept, just, getting people into fitness and offering it to everyone rather than just being an in-home trainer. It's nice for anybody to be able to come. A lot of people, before they start working out, they're afraid to because they think that it's a lot harder than it has to be. And my goal is to make people realize it's a lifelong process between you and your body. So I try to just ease people into it and get them motivated and excited about working out rather than being like, you have to work out.
Right.
You should want to work out. You should want to be healthy. And over the past 5.5 years, I've built a lot of awesome relationships with my clients, and people in this community have, embraced me, and it's just been a lot of fun to help people get into fitness.
Thanks to you, I just actually ran my first 5K, which was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Something I never in a million years would have ever thought I'd be able to do. Can you tell us a little bit about the pros to running? And what are some of the benefits to it?
There's lots of pros. The biggest one being that it improves your overall health. It makes your heart stronger, your lungs, your breathing, everything. I mean, that's the biggest. Mm-hmm. And there's other ones, like it eliminates stress. If you just go out for a run, you can just let your mind be free and run. It prevents diseases, which is huge. Depression, seasonal depression. Sure. I have that in the winter. I have to go running because it's so cold, and I just need that mental release from everything. There's so many things, so many benefits, and so many pros to running. It makes you healthier, it makes you happier. It's the whole body, mind, and spirit whole thing. It's just, there's nothing like running.
If somebody wants to get started running today, what should they do?
That's a great question. There's a lot of things you should do before you start. Shoes are important. You need nice running shoes. The biggest con with running is obviously injuries. You have to be very careful with running. You have to know your body. And I think the most important thing with running is you have to know your body and know your limits and know not to push it, which a lot of people do because they want to see results faster. But the key to running is starting slow and building it up over time. It might take 5 years to be an efficient runner because there's so many things that go into running. Sure. So just being aware of your body and trying to prevent injuries while running is the biggest, and always seek a physician or an expert before you start running because, especially in women, women have wider hips, and so that's one of like the main issues between men and women, is that it sometimes the running and the pounding can be more impact on women and your knees and your joints, and so you just have to be aware of that, and there are ways around that, but the best thing to do is ask a physician or an expert if running is something you can do, and hopefully it is, because it's awesome. Some of the important things with shoes are like the weight of the shoe, how it fits your foot. Like your heel you should always be able to feel it in your heel. You don't want your shoe slipping off. You want good traction and support, especially if you're a woman, an older woman especially, like your bones aren't as strong, so you need a little more support than someone who might have stronger bones than you and who can get away with wearing like a minimalistic shoe. Mm-hmm. Along with the shoes comes, form and like we talked about before, just being able to ease into it rather than just wanting to go out and run 5 miles. Right. The first time you might start with a quarter mile, and in a year you might be running a half marathon.
What is good form? How do you know if you have good form?
Yeah, the biggest thing with running is that there's so many little things that you have to do to become efficient at it, and that all comes with practice and time and dedication to running. Such as like loosening up your shoulders, keeping your elbows at your hips, and running forward rather than swinging side to side. Landing soft comes from you keeping your core nice and tight, your shoulders up and staying upright, and because the harder you land, the harder that is on your joints. Right. And so if you're landing soft and you're being efficient as a runner, it's going to be easier to breathe. You're going to be able to run faster without injuring yourself, and everything comes together from landing soft. And what I mean by landing soft is just like landing, like as you stride, you're landing soft on your feet rather than pounding. And your feet, they'll be able to pick up easier, and you won't be pounding, like I just said. And yeah, and it takes a long time to get there. And not a long time, it just takes practice, and it takes, the desire to want to be a better runner. Sure. And there are ways to do it, and have someone watch you run, and just listen to yourself. If you can hear yourself landing, that's not a good sign. Like, you want to be able to land soft and not hear yourself landing. And that's just going to help you become a better runner, but also for longer, without having to switch to something like the elliptical or biking. With age, especially in women, you have to be careful because, like we said before, your muscles aren't as big, your bones aren't usually as big as well, and like osteoporosis comes into effect. Even though running helps all this stuff, it can also hinder it because of the way you land and the way you're breathing and the constant impact. And if you're doing it too much, like, that all starts to wear on your body.
So how important is it to stretch before and after, and what types? How do you know how long you should stretch for?
Especially with running, it's good to warm up your body, cause especially if you're running outdoors in the winter. You should definitely stretch longer. And if you're running outdoors in the winter, dynamic stretching is really important, like jogging in place, or doing high knees, or opening up your hips and getting your heart rate up and loosening up your joints and stuff. Static stretching I usually don't do before a run, because that's more where you're just stationary and you're stretching for longer periods of time. And studies are starting to show that some people believe in that, some don't. And so again, stretching is knowing your body, doing things that make you feel comfortable before you run and after a run. You should always, do some like high leg stretches, or, anything from like high knees or jogging in place to get your heart rate going, and keeping those legs fresh before and after a run. There's so many precautions for running in the summer and the winter, heat strokes in the summer.
Right.
And in the winter, you just have, especially with all these shoes nowadays, you have to be careful because there's ice everywhere.
Right.
And proper attire in the winter is more important because you can slip and fall and you can hurt yourself, and then you are done running for a long time. Right. And you want to make sure your body's warm enough and, your blood is flowing, so you want like leggings and a long sleeve compression shirt and hats and mittens, and a lot of people wear face masks and stuff because you need to, when you're running outside, you're breathing the air in, and you don't want to like freeze up your lungs, and you're, because then you'll cramp up and you won't, you can injure yourself that way. So there are a lot of differences and a lot of precautions you should take in the summer and the winter, but again, it all comes back to just doing it in moderation, realizing that you're doing it for your health benefits, not because you're trying to win the Olympics or something. Like, the whole point of running is to be healthy and to have fun doing it, and to not injure yourself and hinder your other exercise routines. And running is amazing, but you should also incorporate cross-training in your workouts. Like you should do, you know, a boot camp or circuit training along with biking and ellipticaling, because all these forms of exercise come back to one, and all that moderation, that's the healthiest way to live. Like, if running's super awesome and super fun, but if you're just running every single day, you're more likely going to injure yourself. And with all these other things, you're strengthening your muscles, you're not straining them, you're stretching them, and you're just incorporating everything into one. And so I think that's also another point to be mentioned, just because
definitely.
A lot of people get so caught up into one activity that they forget that women especially, they should lift weights. Find things that you want to run in, like buy a pair of shorts or a sports bra or something that excites you to get into fitness and into running. And then just, you know your body, take it easy, don't overdo it the first few times because you'll regret it in the end, and just, ease into it. Another huge thing, which we all know and we all talk about it because we do it all the time together, is working out together. Finding friends and, people that support you and encourage you to work out rather than people that don't encourage you to do it. Like, if you can find a group of friends who will run with you or work out with you or go take a class with you, that's one of the biggest things I've learned over the past few years. It's like that reinforcement, that, that dedication to do things together and know that this is like all about being healthy, and it just makes it a lot easier. And for the people that have plateaued in their running, there's always ways to switch it up. You can start incorporating intervals, and that goes along with, like, finding a race that you want to train for, or going online and typing in, like, interval training or how to improve my runs. There's so many ways to go about it. You can, like we talked about before, taking a class will help you become a better runner. Incorporating a half hour of biking on an alternate day will help you become a better runner because your legs will get stronger. So there's so many things you can do. It's just being aware of all of it and making sure that you continue to do it and not get bored with it. If you plateau and you're like, oh, I want to quit running for a while because I'm not seeing any more results, well, that's fine. Switch it up. Try something new, and then come back to running, or just keep it in your routine somehow.
Getting involved with running and even with the gym has been life-changing for me. I'm sure you hear that all the time, but it's huge. And you're absolutely right. That has everything to do with surrounding yourself with the right people and people with common interests and that are going to motivate you. So very much appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.